Own your next move. Bold moves in business and life. Every successful story begins with a bold decision. Join me, Jennifer McPherson, as I uncover conversations with entrepreneurs, leaders, and innovators about pivotal moments that shape their journey. Authentic insights, inspiring lessons, and practical wisdom to help you own your own next. Welcome to Own Your Next. I'm Jennifer McPherson. I didn't start my first business until I was 48. I spent decades behind the scenes and decided to give it a go at owning my own next move. Since then, I've built companies, navigated real setbacks, and learned firsthand that success is far more about mindset rather than timing, talent, or even luck. Today, I am joined by Mike Arzt, founder of The Public Works and Battery 621. Mike has spent decades building brands, creating teams, and community-driven businesses with a background that spans action sports, marketing, creative production, and entrepreneurship. Through his work, he has focused on blending creativity, execution, and relationships with also building spaces and companies that value collaboration, culture, and quality of life. I'm excited to talk with Mike today about leadership, mindset, and what it really takes to build something meaningful over the long term. So before we start, Mike, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself and your companies?
All right. Well, thanks for having me on, and I look forward to this. I got to say, you caught me on honest storytelling and lifestyle driven, quality of life driven business. Those things really stood out to me with your intros. Look forward to this conversation. How to sum things up? Well, I've passed 50 years old now. That seems like a big seasonal change in my life. 50 sounded old a long time ago. Now I'm just trying to deal with it. But the journey's been super fun. My dad was an entrepreneur, and he also put a camera in my hands, and he loved skiing, and kind of all of those things turned into kind of the most core things that I love in my life, and they drove me. I didn't know I'd be able to turn it into a career, but I chased snow kind of like my life depended on it, I guess. I was obsessed to the level of, I think it was a good addiction, but it was a serious addiction. So even when I was a kid and I got my first snowboard back in Connecticut, I was infatuated with the brand Burton. I'd drive up to their shop all the time. I'd just call and try to find out when the new line of stuff would come out. And as soon as it would, we'd road trip up to Vermont. And so after high school, I took a gap year. And I think in the first 3 days of traveling, I decided when I get back, I'm going to work for Burton. It was just, I'd already been working in a snow up in Connecticut, and I'd gotten to know the Burton rep and stuff. But it was just it's all I could think about. So I applied to Burton up in Burlington, Vermont, and got a job up there. And I also applied to University of Vermont for business school at the same time. So I feel like I was super lucky that I got to almost double major with a business degree. But I don't know, I still say I think I might have learned more at Burton, especially getting to work under Jake Burton, who I think is one of the most legendary entrepreneurs. And he was not only was he an insane mentor, but the trickle-down effect of what he created within that building and all the other people that became mentors, and so many of them are still close in my life. So I feel super fortunate that I was at Burton from 1993 to 2000, which were some of the best years in snowboarding. Budgets were booming. Things were fun. I spent the last 3 to 4 years of my time at Burton traveling the world with the pro athletes, running all the operations for Burton out of Mount Hood in the summer. So I was on my snowboard probably 200 plus days a year. I got to stand next to Jake Burton when the first snowboarder ever dropped into an Olympic run in Nagano, Japan.
Oh my gosh.
That photo of me and Jake is kind of one of my most cherished things, especially now that, Jake passed away. At Burton, I met so many great people and stuff. And I want to keep this kind of backstory kind of as tight as I can. But one of the people I met is my now current business partner, Frank Phillips. I even moved out of my college house, and I moved into Frank's house when he bought it in Vermont. And so Frank and I have this 25-year history. Our girlfriends moved into that house. They're both our wives now. It's been
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Been a long journey. I don't think I ever paid Frank rent, because he was always like, if you help me redo this wood floor, if you help me with this, I'll pay your rent. I don't think I ever paid rent. I don't think I ever had a key, because the house was never locked. So after Burton, I went and worked for I actually left Burton to go work for a media company because I wanted to pursue the kind of photo and video side of the industry. After that, I worked for some other snowboard companies. When Frank left Burton, he started doing much more. So Frank was head of engineering and prototyping at Burton. He has an engineering background. When he left Burton, he started doing freelance stuff. He moved his family to Colorado. I was already here. So we kind of both had freelance clients, but we had been talking about this idea of a business since Burton. We always say this business was like launched and thought out on chairlifts and hiking.
I can imagine it would be.
Yeah. And so I think we were pretty lucky because we both kind of had some freelance stuff going on. Frank more on engineering, me a bit more combining marketing services and team management with photography. And we kind of just rolled that into what became the public works. Our first couple jobs, a friend of ours went to Red Bull. He was one of the first 10 hires in the US. He called us for something. We were like, yeah, no problem. We can build that, design it, whatever. That led to some work with Aspen and then we launched the public works. So it really was this kind of like rolling start. I mean, today's January 6th it's January 7th. January 1st was our 20th anniversary for public works, which is kind of crazy.
That's fabulous to
wild
go
ride.
to 20 years. That is so good.
So I'll just say we sum public works up as we like to say we're a brand storytelling company. We kind of have two divisions within our company. I hate the word agency. I always try to get around it. I don't know how
you don't have to use it here. I
Okay.
won't make you.
Anyways. But we kind of have two divisions under the public works. Frank heads up like a design and build team. So we have a 3,000 square foot fabrication shop and we'll do things like custom car displays, champagne bars, Whole Foods, like build out. So like very high end brand physical manifestations. And the other part of our business, which I tend to head up more, is more of the like kind of brand strategy, kind of marketing. And we have a full photo video team. So we can do everything from kind of creative all the way through to execution. So anyways, when something really comes together, it's like getting to work with Moet Hennessy and we build them like a custom champagne bar up at Aspen.
Wow.
Then they also hire us to film the events. And that champagne bar, which was the first project we did for them, it ended up being named one of the top 10 champagne bars by Condé Nast Travel.
Wow.
And it moves all over the mountain by Snowcat. So that's like kind of when all our worlds come together and we get to build and we get to be creative and then we get to capture and people get to enjoy it. I think that's our sweet spot as a company.
Yeah.
And
sounds amazing, actually.
It's been a wild ride.
Yeah.
A lot of where we are now at 20 years is because we've been really lucky to work with some great brands that truly cherish their brands and protect them. So like what we learned from working with Red Bull and what we learned from working with Moet Hennessy and Aspen Ski Company and those kind of brands, like, not only are they amazing clients, but they've taught us so much about how to do things right and that they want a super high level of execution. If we do something for Red Bull, like those Pantones, that red, that blue, that yellow, like that shit better be right. And then 15 years ago, we bought this building here in Denver called Battery 621. It was more or less an abandoned cement shell, 30,000 square feet. And we bought it and we built it all out. And now we have 20 plus companies working out of Battery 621. And we just bought the building next door last year.
Wow.
So there
That's
we are.
So amazing that you did that. Like the story starting with Burton is awesome. It's awesome. I mean, being able to be kind of knowing what you wanted to do early on when snowboarding came out and you're really into it, you love the Burton brand, and then just almost like manifesting, I am going to work at Burton one day. And just at that young age to have the wisdom to just not have it just be a wish, but like, this is going to happen for me. And it's going to happen. And I think that kind of mindset really sets people up to win. That's very impressive.
I am really very far on some sort of spectrum, psychotic. But like the one
you are an entrepreneur. So that's,
right. I mean,
that's a given.
Yeah. So whatever that spectrum is, but I love I don't want to say the hunt, but like I've been really lucky that when I see something that I like get obsessive compulsive about getting there. Might be some of my German heritage. That's how it was for Public Works and Battery, but it's been kind of similar for clients. And I really enjoy that. Like at some point, Airstream travel trailers started really making a lot of sense to us. Clients had asked about us doing custom build outs for them and stuff. And I just called the 1-800 number at Airstream. And long story short, I connected with the director of marketing. 2 weeks later, I was in Chicago. So I drove the 6 hours, did the whole Airstream tour, met with her. And then I hammered for, I bet it was 2 years. I just kept sending her ideas. Like, what about this? What about this? What about this? I still like laugh. Like her inbox was probably like so shit up by my emails. But I don't know, 2 years after that started, she was like, I have an idea for you guys.
Oh my gosh. See, I mean, that kind of relentlessness is, there's a lot of people that they give up so quickly. I mean, yes, 2 years is a long time, but sometimes it takes that long. And if you're looking at that sort of high caliber of a client, that you've got to really, really prove yourself and talk to them over and over and over again. And then especially with the things that you're doing with these build outs, they sound amazing. And I want to see some pictures of them because it sounds pretty cool. And just to have that drive forward, and we're going to keep pushing, and I have more ideas. And even though nothing is coming of this, just to be that driven, that's what's really going to land people in a position that they want to be in. And I think that a lot of people give up before they even get to that spot.
Yeah. And I would add to that and also say, I think I've really learned that sometimes you have initial meetings, you might think you know what that client needs, but there's a better chance that we don't know what they need and they don't know exactly what they need.
Yep.
So it's hard to know where do we all fit together. But I feel like when you just kind of keep kicking the tire, right? Until something fits. And, and like for us, I'm just always like, hey, if you if you crack the door enough for us to get like our toe in,
we'll prove it.
We'll just keep proving that we're a great partner.
Yeah. And sometimes that's the hardest part, is just getting that door cracked open a little bit. But persistence is definitely, well worth it. Yeah. So I did have another question. For you, in your experience, what has been harder about building and running your business than you had originally expected? I mean, you've been doing it a long time, so I'm sure you have a lot of stories that you can tell about some moments in time where you're like, well, that was unexpected and it was way more difficult than what I thought originally it would be.
I feel like we're going to dig into some trauma now.
That's all right.
No, I'm trying to think of like the most standout. I think it's taken me this far into my life, and I'm in a business peer group. I meet with the same 8 people. We've been meeting for like 10 years. So they're really my support group, and we get deep. Like we cry. We know everything about each other. It's totally confidential. So I didn't realize how much I needed that peer group. So that was maybe one first revelation. From that, it's helped me. I'm not, I grew up in Connecticut. My family, a great family, but there wasn't a lot of emotional, lay it all out on the table. Mm-hmm. This group's helped me a lot with that. But I think if I look at biggest challenge or whatever, and what I'm having the most realization of now is that the biggest freaking challenge and obstacles and everything is all, it's me. It's all in my head.
Yeah.
So I think it's taken me this long to accept and understand that the biggest thing getting in my way of doing better and doing better for the people around me is me. And I got to through that shit.
That's hard. That is hard. And I can relate to that, because I think I am the biggest, I'm the biggest dreamer. It's almost like being an entrepreneur, you have 2 sides of your thought process. You're a huge dreamer. I'm going to go down the road. I'm going to do all these things. It's going to be so big. It's going to be amazing. And then you have a little portion of your brain that contradicts it. And occasionally, not always, because, we wouldn't have businesses without it. It's like at least for me, it's a portion of my brain that is just separate, that I refuse to look at. And sometimes I really need to, but.
Imposter syndrome is so real, right?
Yeah.
I find myself, I'll be here and I'm like, are we already over our ski tips? Do we even deserve to be here or whatever. And like, if I like stop myself and I pull back and I'm like, man, we have done nothing but work hard and try to
Yes.
provide results for 20 years and our clients generally seem happy. I'm like, why? Like, that's the stuff I need to work through of like,
Yeah.
like, why is that? Why am I listening to the negative voice instead of the positive voice?
Yeah. Have you ever read the book, The Gap and the Gain?
No.
My gosh. I'm trying to remember who I think it's Dan Martell. I
Mm.
can't remember his name all of a sudden. No, it's not Dan Martell. I don't remember. I'll email you later. But The Gap and the Gain, it really changed a lot. It helped me a lot with recognizing. So basically, a gap in the gain is here's the gain, here's all your wins. This is how far you've come in 20 years. It's amazing, blah, 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 blah. And then here's where you came from. And then here's the space in between. And if you're all the way over here at this is how far we've come, but we didn't meet a goal or we didn't do this, or, as entrepreneurs, a lot of times we're thinking about those little things that we didn't do or didn't get to without actually realizing the gain from where we came to where we are now, or even like a year ago. This is where we were a year ago. This is where we are now. And just really living in all of that gain space. And instead of living in that gap where you're like, we didn't make it, we didn't win that project, we didn't, all of those things. That book I would strongly encourage reading. It was a really game changer in my mind as an entrepreneur. So let's see, looking back on your 20 years, I'm sure there's a lot more stories here also. Were there any moments that really stood out as like a pivotal moment that took you? I mean, you kind of went through your story and it definitely sounds like there was definitely the Burton experience was a very pivotal moment for you in your life. With your company currently, was there any moment that you felt like was this pivotal aha moment that made you go from this way to this way?
Buying the building was huge because Frank and I, up to that point, were like working out of our houses in Evergreen. When we bought this building, I think we were the only company that came in that didn't have existing commercial space, which was funny. But so that was like it was scary as shit too. We looked at buildings for probably 2 years, and I just remember my wife being like, just stop talking about it and just do it. And I was like, yeah, we could lose everything. And she was like, well, then we'll just start again. I was like, I'm glad you're at ease with this because I'm not so at ease. But from making that step, it was so scary. And, sitting here 15 years later, this has exceeded our dreams in so many ways, and from community and networking to actually having like a tangible asset and not just a service-based company.
Yeah.
But with the building, Frank and I had 2 other partners when we bought it, and for the first several years. And I don't want to go down the rabbit hole too far, but I'll just say it got really rough, where ownership agreements really matter and lawyers become a big part of your life.
Oh my gosh.
For years. It was the most painful thing I've ever been through. And that feeling might lose, I don't know, do we lose the business? Do we have to sell? Whatever. Like it felt, I tell people, I've been married for 25 years now, so I don't know what it's like to go through a divorce, but to me, it felt like maybe what it's like, because we're going through this like rough time with our partners, but the building, the asset was almost like a bit of like the child, like this was our dream.
Oh my gosh.
What if we lose it? When we settled and we bought them out, I can only say so much. I signed a lot of documents, but we went through like a very long mediation session the last day, I don't know, 12 hours or something. And we got to a signed agreement at the end. And I remember walking out of there and I was like, mentally, like I can't even explain how I felt like I was like in some surreal, like different world. I like looked at our lawyer, who's a good friend of ours, and I was just like, are we really done? Like, I was just like so destroyed at that point. Like, yeah. And he just looked at me and he was like, Mike, you guys are good. And I was like,
my God.
And
did you go celebrate, or were you still in shock?
We went and had a beer, and I was still just kind of like, is this real? Is it real? Is this really happening? But I've told people that moment, like it was on the level of my 2 kids being born. But I also always tell everyone, including my kids, like they didn't cause years of trauma and hardship before
Yeah.
they were born.
Right.
So the level of celebration was like, I don't want to
Yeah.
say more than my kids being born, but it was like
Yeah.
on that level of like, so I learned, we learned so much out of that. And we went into another partnership recently on a potential commercial property thing, and it started feeling not right. And like Frank and I were pretty quick to be like, we're walking away. Like
Yeah.
we're not going down this path again.
Oh, yeah. That's smart. That's really smart. And, it is through all I hate to say it, but in business, it really the best, not the funnest way to learn, but the best way that you do learn is in, hardships and failures. Those alone, we had a year that was really a really rough year. And it was, a couple years into my company, and I still hadn't really understood 100% all about how to run a business. And, um, I hung on to people too long when I should have let them go. So it was a really super rough year, but I definitely learned a lot from that experience. I'd never want to repeat it again. It was very stressful. I didn't get any sleep. I'm sure you didn't get any sleep. Legal stuff, it's very expensive to have to go down that road, and it could, sink your business in a heartbeat. So
Yes.
that sounds
Learned a lot.
not fun.
Rest a lot. Definitely didn't sleep a lot. Yeah. It was rough, but live and learn, and then just appreciate even more that we're still sitting in this building right now.
Yeah, right. So another question I have is, you've been in business now for 20 years, and I always think about this question. If you could go back and tell your earlier version of yourself something, and I'm not talking about the winning lottery tickets on the bajillion-dollar lottery that was just, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, what would you tell yourself, your younger, earlier version of yourself?
I was doing different podcasts. I don't think this takes us too divergent from your question, but I was on different podcasts, and the person asked me if I wish I had started earlier on our business. And I think on that podcast, I said, I kind of wish I had. After it, I thought about it more, and I was like, I kind of take that back because I think I lucked out with the path I did stay on when I was younger. So I think if I could go back and say anything, I'd say just lean in, like give it all, like don't miss an opportunity, go hard, always say yes to stuff, because it's not just the experience or like the next step on the career ladder, but it's also just the great people you meet along the way that continue to stay in your life. I don't think I would have expected that so much way back then, that like people I worked with when I was 18 years old at Burton, some of them are still some of them are our best clients now.
Nice.
I would probably mention the whole, like, don't step on the toe connected to the ass that you might have to kiss tomorrow, whatever.
Yeah.
But the world just keeps getting smaller and smaller, and it's a beautiful thing. Like, I think so much of what I lucked out with was how amazing the group of people were that were working at Burton at that time, because that alumni is everywhere. And I worked for some other companies. And so that, I think it'd probably be some of that advice of like, just cherish and treat the people right that you're surrounded by, because they're going to, like, a great group of friends and business friends and all that kind of thing will continue. We wouldn't be doing what we were doing right now if it wasn't for the group of people surrounding us.
Yeah.
And so that second part, when I thought more about, like, should we have started earlier, I like kind of course corrected on it, because I was like, the amount of time I had at Burton and then at the media company and then working for Airwalk snowboarding, like, I think I lucked out that that was kind of just in a continuation of college, like learning. The only thing that changes, instead of paying for your education, you start getting paid for your education.
Yeah, exactly.
But I feel like I did stay working for other companies to the right point, to where Airwalk laid us all off, and I kind of appreciate that now. There's nothing like a good swift kick in the ass to go start freelancing. So thanks, Airwalk, for failing and laying us all off. But it was kind of the right time, right place. And I was also like, okay, let's go for this. And luckily we started pursuing this like freelance. And I guess my daughter was born right around that time. She's about the same age as Public Works. So it was sort of like everything started changing all at once, where I was like, oh shit, like we got we got a kid, and now we're trying to do this on our own. But some of that pressure is also good, because you're like, I can't fail. Like, it's on now. So
I was going to say sometimes that pressure and that fear to have to make it work because you're like, my family has to have this, that definitely accelerates your progress.
There's something to be said for burning the bridges behind you.
Exactly. Well, I have one more question, and I'm a firm believer that mindset is everything, you know? So, what mindset shift made the biggest difference in how you show up today in your life? And what old ways of thinking did you have to let go to move forward?
I think I'm still working on all of that. Like I mentioned, I think a big mindset shift was when I did join EO, which is entrepreneurial organization. And it's a global organization of, I think, about 18,000 small business owners.
Mm-hmm.
The good thing about a group like that is you quickly realize like I thought I was fucked, but we're all fucked.
Yeah, we are.
There's a lot to be said for a
There's just different stages of it.
Yeah, different places. But so what I think the big change as I joined EO and started to lean into, it's a very structured program, and the organization does an amazing thing. But I think that really started to help me dig deeper into like deeper things that I wasn't thinking about or realizing that were roadblocks for me. Like within our forum, people are really good about, they'll say like, hey, you mentioned this for the last 4 months in a row, this same kind of thing coming up. Like, let's work on that. Like, so it's good to have a group like that. Like I think I picked it up from an audiobook or something, but I recently wrote down that like self-care isn't selfish, that sometimes it's hard to remember that it's not selfish for me to try to take some time and work on myself, because it's probably hopefully means I present better to the people around me. And I give myself some pretty low grades on sort of my emotional roller coaster and what that can mean if I'm in a low spot and I'm tired because I'm stressing and not sleeping, and then how I push that out to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
I just want to do better on all that stuff. I think that's what this season of life is starting to show me is like, yeah, I'm almost empty nesting now. And then it's just this seasonal change where kids are almost out of the house. We hit 20 years with this business, and now it's like, okay, let's get better. Like we've worked really hard. Now let's like make hay. Let's really do what we can do the best. Like I see this next 10 years as our should be the best shit we've ever done.
Yeah, of course it should be. That's great. Well, go ahead. What was that?
I was just saying the next 10 years is going to be the best it's ever been, as long as I can get out of my own way.
Yeah, you can. I know you can.
Yeah.
You can. Keep listening to those people around you, and sometimes you just got to tell that negative part of yourself to go away. Go do something else. But
luckily, my wife told me this morning to tell that negative part to go away. Like straight up, she was like, just shift to positivity and it'll all be fine. I was like, okay, right.
I know it's easier said than done. I say that a lot to the people in my family, and they say, well, you just listen to all these books and things, and that's not who I am. And I'm like, well, it's a lot more fun being positive than negative. But anyways, I greatly appreciate you coming on the pod today. I am looking forward to catching up at breakfast with you here.
Yeah, I think we should. I was going to say that at Battery 621, we're trying to have a monthly breakfast mixer. Anyone listening or watching this is welcome to join in. We call them Waffle Wednesdays at Battery 621. I think the next one's January 28th. And it should be really fun. We're going to be working with outside media to help kind of announce and launch the next outside festival this summer in Denver.
Oh, that's exciting. So where can people find you?
LinkedIn is always good. I still feel like it's a social platform that actually does good.
Yes.
So LinkedIn, no problem. If you spell my last name right, Arzt, it usually comes up. Yeah, and I think our social media for the Public Works is pretty fun. We're pushing a bunch of 20-year stories right now, which has been really fun to revisit.
Oh, man, 20-year journey. That's so cool.
Yeah.
We've only been here for 8.
Yeah, I love meeting new people. If I can help anyone out, like so many people have helped me to get here. So I really do. Battery's been so great for that. We have this place where we can just have a coffee, go sit on the roof deck or whatever. But I truly am energized by meeting great people. And that's why it's really cool that we got to go to a dinner that was put together of all agency owners. And so much good has already come out of that one dinner.
Yeah,
love that
I
stuff.
agree. I agree. Brent Weaver, I'm going to call his name out for thank you for inviting us. That was
Mhm.
fabulous. It was a great night. Sometimes we get a little bit isolated, like what you were saying, and it is really fabulous to come together as business owners. And, you're a unique animal when you're an entrepreneur. I don't know that people want me to reference them as that, but it is true. It's a
Mhm.
unique place to be and sometimes a little isolating. But anyways, thank you, Mike, and I'll see you here in the next few weeks. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing your time.
All right, thanks. Thank you for listening to Own Your Next. Subscribe and share with friends. And remember, success isn't behind you. It's boldly owning your next move.